All right, we're on worksheet A6, and we are doing one last day of finding the vertex for a quadratic equation. We're not graphing or doing anything like that, but let me give you a couple reminders. At the top here, let's write down our standard form. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So that's standard form. Remember, the a is paired with x squared, b is with x, c stands alone. Now, the ones I'm giving you on the front page, they are already all in standard form, but if not, we'd have to rearrange it, and that's our next lesson that we're going to do. We want to pull out the a, b, and c. We are going to use this formula right here to find the axis of symmetry. So it's going to help us find two things. Make a note of this. This is going to help us find the vertex and the axis of symmetry. Okay? It's going to find the x value for the vertex and the axis symmetry. This is your quadratic equation, and this is considered standard form. So we keep rewriting these same ideas so we have them on our notes. All right, so I am going to jump down to number 3 and do that one with you. All right, before we get into the math on number 3, would this parabola open upward or downward, and how do you know that? Why? All right, that a is -3. That means when you go to graph this, it is going to open in a downward manner. It would also be skinnier because it's going to grow and stretch 3 times as fast down the y-axis. All right, what's the b value?
12.
Yep, b is paired with x. And what's the c value? Yes, the negative sign goes with it. Whatever sign's in front of the number sticks with it. Okay, whoops, got the wrong thing there. So here's my axis symmetry formula, which gives me that axis symmetry that goes right through the vertex, thus give me the x value of the vertex. So let's plug it in. It is going to be a -12, and now that can be the biggest mistake here. My 12 is positive, but if it was a negative, that'd have a -12. All over 2 times -3. Okay, why do I not want you just typing this in the calculator? Do you remember? It will do it out of order if you don't put the denominator in another set of parentheses. So my suggestion is that you use your calculator to help you if you need to, but do the numerator, which is just -12. And what's my denominator? -6. Okay, 2 negatives. A negative divided by negative is going to turn to a positive. And what's x equal? 2. If you put it in the calculator like this, even with the parentheses we did, and you do divided by 2 parentheses -3, we'll get a very different answer. We got 18. And that is because the calculator is going to divide first, get -6, and then multiply. If you really want to put it in the calculator, you need to do an extra set of parentheses, and I honestly think that is more work than just doing the top and doing the bottom. All right, so the x value of your vertex is just 2. Now, how do I find the y value? So this would be my ordered pair, 2 something. How do I find the y value?
And replace the x's and the y equals formula with 2.
Exactly. So everywhere you see an x in your standard form of a quadratic, you're going to replace it with a 2. So we would have y equals -3 times 2 squared plus 12 times 2 minus 6. Once we find the x value, we just plug it in. Now, that should be it. Use your parentheses in case you have a negative sign. So -3 parentheses, close them and put the power on the outside. And we should get 6. See if you agree with me. Okay. Now, that's all we had to do. We're done. So go ahead and write that as an ordered pair. Know that that is your axis symmetry. I'm not going to make you do this, but the other day we were graphing, and so we created a table. Why did we do this? Because the vertex would be what we put in the middle of the table, remember? And once you put that vertex in the middle of the table, do you remember that we picked points below it and points above it? And then we would plug this number in, put a 0 in here. And you know what, Lance, you're the one that said this. You get C out when you put 0 in, remember? And we would go back and put the 1 in, and instead of going back and retyping it, we would just arrow back up and type it over everything. And so I would get out 3. And if we did this right, this should be a 3 and this should be a -6, and we'd be able to graph the quadratic. What's the graph of that quadratic called? What's the name of this called?
Starts with a P.
It does start with a P. Parabola. That's called a parabola. All right. So you do not have to go this extra mile and give me a table here. Okay. I just wanted to remind you of that. So on the front, you're doing 2 more of these, finding the axis symmetry, the y value, which gives you the vertex. So do me a favor, put a little vertex under each of these. So you remember to find me the vertex. Flip it over to the back. You have 2 more. Shove that little vertex point under there. And in the bottom, it asks you to tell whether the graph opens upward or downward. What are you looking for? Negative or positive where? On the x squared. Yeah, the a value. They didn't even try to trick you. So this should be a pretty quick worksheet for you guys.